The Persian Gulf stands at a critical crossroads, its calm blue waters masking a storm of tension beneath the surface. On the brink of war, the region is gripped by anxiety as rival powers flex their military might. The United States and Iran are locked in a dangerous standoff, with tensions at their highest in years. Each side watches the other with suspicion, every maneuver scrutinized for signs of escalation. Warships, fighter jets, and thousands of troops are now poised for action. One wrong move could ignite a regional conflict. The world holds its breath as military assets are deployed and soldiers brace for the unknown. This crisis is the result of years of sanctions, proxy wars, and deep mistrust between Washington and Tehran. Decades of hostility have left scars that are not easily healed, and every new provocation adds fuel to the fire. A fragile ceasefire after a brief war in June 2025 is now unraveling. Hopes for lasting peace are fading as both sides accuse each other of violations, and the specter of renewed violence grows ever larger. President Donald Trump has declared the status quo unacceptable, signaling a willingness to use force. His administration insists that decisive action is needed to prevent Iran from threatening U.S. interests and allies in the region. The U.S. cites Iran's nuclear ambitions, missile program, and support for armed groups as unacceptable threats. American officials warn that these activities could destabilize not just the Gulf, but the entire Middle East. Iran, in turn, sees these programs as vital for its defense and sovereignty, fueling a fundamental clash. Iranian leaders argue that their nation is encircled by hostile forces and must be prepared to defend itself at any cost. Diplomatic channels are strained, and military preparations are accelerating. Backroom negotiations are tense, with diplomats racing against time to prevent a catastrophic miscalculation. The international community urges restraint, fearing catastrophic consequences if war breaks out. World leaders call for dialogue, but their voices are often drowned out by the drumbeat of war. The world wonders, can diplomacy prevail, or will the Gulf descend into chaos? Ordinary people across the globe watch anxiously, hoping for a peaceful resolution, but fearing the worst. The coming days will determine whether the region finds a path back to peace or plunges into war. The choices made now will echo for generations, shaping the future of the Middle East and beyond. The stakes could not be higher for the Middle East and the world. A single spark could ignite a conflict with global repercussions, affecting energy supplies, economies, and millions of lives. The shadow of war looms over the entire region, as hope and fear hang in the balance. President Trump, facing mounting pressure from both allies and critics, is openly considering a limited military strike against Iran. The world watches as the administration weighs its options, with every move scrutinized by the global community. The idea behind this approach is to send a powerful message: maximum pressure, not a full-scale war. The administration hopes that a carefully calibrated strike could demonstrate American resolve without dragging the country into another prolonged conflict in the Middle East. The goal is to walk a fine line, to show strength, but avoid a wider war that could spiral out of control. Advisors argue that a swift, decisive action might be enough to shift the balance of power at the negotiating table. The White House believes a targeted show of force could compel Iran back to the negotiating table, signaling that the U.S. is serious about its demands, but still open to diplomacy. Recent U.S. military successes in the region have emboldened this approach, giving officials confidence that a limited strike could be executed quickly and effectively. But time is running out. Trump has set a tight 10-day window for a decision, adding urgency to an already tense crisis. Every hour brings new intelligence and shifting calculations. The plan under consideration would target key Iranian military sites, missile facilities, command centers, and infrastructure critical to Iran's defense capabilities. The aim is to cripple Iran's ability to retaliate while avoiding civilian casualties. The hope is to force Iran's leaders to capitulate where sanctions have failed, and to show that the U.S. is willing to escalate if provoked further. Yet, the risks are immense. But experts warn, there's no such thing as a truly limited strike. History shows that even the most precise attacks can trigger unpredictable consequences, especially in such a volatile region. Any attack would be seen by Tehran as an act of war, risking fierce retaliation not just from Iran, but potentially from its regional allies as well. The threat of escalation looms large. The administration is betting it can control escalation, a dangerous gamble in the volatile Middle East, where alliances and enmities can shift overnight. The world holds its breath as the clock ticks down, with leaders and citizens alike fearing the consequences of a single miscalculation. Will a limited strike break the deadlock or unleash uncontrollable conflict? The stakes are enormous, and the outcome remains uncertain as history waits to be written. The US has issued Iran an ultimatum, 3 non-negotiable demands. First, Iran must surrender all enriched uranium, ending its nuclear ambitions. Second, it must cap its ballistic missile program, limiting its ability to strike across the region. Third, Iran must cut all support for proxy forces in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. These demands would dismantle Iran's strategic assets and regional influence. For Tehran, compliance means vulnerability and loss of sovereignty. For Washington, these are the only terms for lifting sanctions and avoiding war. The gulf between the two sides is vast. Iran sees the demands as existential threats. The US sees them as the path to peace. This deadlock explains why the crisis is so intractable. Neither side is willing to back down. The world waits to see if compromise is possible, or if confrontation is inevitable. The stakes: Iran's future and regional stability. The US is backing its threats with overwhelming military force, making it clear that any escalation will be met with a swift and powerful response. This is not just a show of strength, it's a calculated message to adversaries and allies alike. 2 aircraft carrier strike groups, dozens of destroyers, and nearly 40,000 troops are now in the Gulf. The sheer scale of this deployment is a reminder of America's ability to project power far from its shores, assembling a formidable force in a matter of weeks. Advanced stealth fighters and support aircraft fill regional bases, ready for action at a moment's notice. These jets, equipped with cutting-edge technology, can strike deep into enemy territory or defend key positions, giving the US unmatched flexibility in the air. Air defense systems and missile batteries have been deployed to protect US assets and allies. Patriot batteries and other advanced interceptors stand guard, forming a protective shield against potential missile attacks from Iran or its proxies. The Pentagon says it has enough firepower for a sustained air campaign targeting thousands of sites. Military planners have mapped out potential targets, from missile launchers to command centers, ensuring that any conflict would be met with overwhelming force. Troop evacuations from Qatar and Bahrain underscore the seriousness of the threat. Families and non-essential personnel are being moved to safety, while combat units remain on high alert, ready to respond to any sudden escalation. The US is preparing for both a potential strike and the inevitable Iranian counterattack. War rooms buzz with activity as strategists weigh every possible scenario, from limited skirmishes to a wider regional conflict. This show of force is meant to intimidate Tehran and demonstrate American resolve. Fighter jets roar overhead, and warships cut through the Gulf's waters, sending a clear signal that the US is ready for whatever comes next. The scale of the buildup is the largest since the 2003 Iraq invasion. For many, it's a stark reminder of how quickly the region can be drawn into conflict and how high the stakes have become. Every move signals readiness for conflict, but also the hope that deterrence will work. The US wants to avoid war, but it's making sure that if war comes, it will not be caught off guard. The region is on edge, watching for the first spark. Civilians brace for uncertainty, while leaders weigh their next steps in a tense and unpredictable standoff. The military chessboard is set. Generals and commanders monitor every move, knowing that a single miscalculation could ignite a wider war. The next move could decide the fate of the Gulf. In these tense hours, every decision carries enormous weight, and the world holds its breath. The world watches, anxious and uncertain as the balance of power in the Gulf hangs in the balance. US planners are studying Israel's recent strategy against Iran. Israel's targeted assassinations and precision strikes have disrupted Iran's military leadership without triggering all-out war. This surgical approach is seen as a possible model for the US: cripple Iran's command structure, avoid civilian casualties, and sidestep a ground invasion. The appeal: maximum impact, minimum commitment, but even Israel's Iron Dome couldn't stop all Iranian missiles. Retaliation caused significant damage. A US strike, no matter how precise, risks massive Iranian response across the region. American troops and assets would be in the crosshairs. The lessened surgical strikes can provoke unpredictable escalation. The US must weigh the risks carefully. Precision may limit destruction, but not the danger. The stakes remain high. Iran is drawing its own red lines. Its missile program is non-negotiable, a symbol of national strength and security. Tehran is preparing a last-ditch diplomatic proposal, but the US remains skeptical. Iran warns, any attack will trigger swift, widespread retaliation against all US bases and assets in the region. Tens of thousands of American troops are now potential targets. The Pentagon is bracing for a conflict that could be far more intense than the last war. Iran signals it's ready to absorb a first strike and fight back at any cost. Iran's trump card is the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical oil choke point. If attacked or blockaded, Iran threatens to close the strait, cutting off 1/5 of global oil supply. Oil prices would skyrocket, triggering a global economic crisis. The mere threat has already sent prices climbing. The US Navy could eventually reopen the strait, but not without weeks or months of dangerous operations. Naval mines, missiles, and fast attack boats would make passage perilous. The world economy would reel from the shock. Iran knows this is its most powerful leverage. The threat of economic chaos hangs over the crisis. Any US strike on Iran risks igniting a wider regional war. Iran's proxies could attack Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, while US troops across the region become prime targets. The Pentagon's evacuation of some personnel shows the threat is real. A conflict could quickly spiral, causing massive casualties and a humanitarian crisis. Millions could be displaced, and regional economies shattered. The risk of uncontrolled escalation is high. Action and reaction could trap both sides in a cycle of violence. Once war begins, it's hard to control or end. The Middle East could be consumed by a conflict no one intended. The world faces the danger of a single spark igniting a regional inferno. The world stands at a crossroads: diplomacy or war. President Trump is prepared to use force, believing only military action can break the deadlock. Iran is submitting a proposal to the UN, signaling a last hope for peace. US allies urge restraint, warning that war would be catastrophic and unlikely to achieve lasting results. The gulf between the two sides seems unbridgeable. The decision now rests with leaders in Washington and Tehran. Will they choose confrontation or the hard work of diplomacy? The world waits, hoping reason prevails over the drumbeat of war.